The scandals are not a new thing in the automotive industry. Most of you have heard about the recent Volkswagen's emission scandal, where they used custom-made software to cheat on the diesel emission tests. What Volkswagen did was completely unethical and unacceptable, and they had to pay a huge sum of money as a penalty for their malpractices. But if you compare it with some of the other infamous scandals that took place in the automotive industry in the past, this one seems really harmless. Today, we will take a look at the 5 most sinister automotive scandals which ultimately resulted in the loss of lives of the customers. Number 1. The Ford Pinto Scandal. During the early 70s, Japanese manufacturers were invading the American car market with their small, affordable, and fuel-efficient cars. Combine that with the increasing fuel prices, the big American giants were losing the game. They had to act quickly to regain the losing market share. So, in a desperate attempt to stay relevant, Ford introduced the Pinto. The Pinto was unlike anything that Ford has ever made before. It was small, efficient, and affordable at just $2,000. But the car had one major design flaw. The fuel tank was placed behind the rear axle, vulnerable to errant collisions. Any collision faster than 20 miles per hour or 36 kilometers per hour will puncture the gas tank, drastically increasing the chances of fire. The disturbing thing was, Ford knew about this flaw from the very beginning, and they did nothing and decided to go ahead with the production. Because at that time, the government regulations only required the gas tank to remain intact at collisions under 20 miles per hour. It is estimated that almost 900 people were died as a result of the fire caused by the rear-end collision. Number 2. GM Engine Mount Scandal. Suppose you are driving down the freeway at some serious speeds and all of a sudden the engine breaks away. Sounds like a scene from the movie Final Destination, right? Well, that was the case with some of the General Motors vehicles back in the late 60s. The engine mounts used on the full-size Chevys was not designed to handle the big V8s of that time. As a result, it started to break away at speeds, twisting the engine out of position. In many cases, it also damaged the throttle body linkage, causing an unintended acceleration. This could also twist the automatic transmission, which would stop the driver being able to find park. During the investigation, GM revealed to National Highway Traffic Security Administration that it had been using the same engine mounts for their cars since 1958. GM was well aware of that issue, but did nothing. Luckily, the media caught up with this matter and forced the GM to recall 6.5 million cars. According to National Highway Traffic Safety Administration, they received 172 reports of failed engine mounts with 63 accidents, 18 injuries, and 7 deaths. Number 3. Toyota's unintended acceleration. It is widely believed that the Japanese cars are ultra reliable, and in most cases, they are. Toyota is no exception. Their cars are affordable, super reliable, and efficient. These are the reasons why Toyota became the biggest car manufacturer in the world, until the Volkswagen overtook them last year. From such a manufacturer, we all expect top-notch quality products every time. But Toyota did fail to live up to that expectations, and it turned out to be deadly. In this case, it was a simple floor mat which caused all this issue. In 2007, National Highway Traffic Safety Administration launched an investigation into the Lexus ES350 after it was reported that the car randomly accelerated on its own. They found the faulty floor mat design to be the cause of the problem, which sometimes caused the accelerator pedal to get stuck when you push it. But as always, Toyota dismissed all the findings and blamed it on the driver error. Instead of publicly addressing the fact, Toyota issued an internal fitment guide to the dealer network to readjust the pedal for better clearance. But Toyota continued to produce the floor mat to the same specifications. But in 2009, the whole thing blew up when authorities released an audio recording of a 911 call from California Highway Patrol Officer Mr. Mark Saylor after his Lexus began to accelerate on its own. The car reached a speed of 200 km per hour or 125 miles per hour before the crash, which resulted in the death of Mr. Mark Saylor and his whole family. Toyota couldn't hide from this issue no more, and they had to recall 9.3 million cars worldwide. Number 4. GM ignition switch cover-up. Like many scandals that just mentioned, GM knew about this defective part as early as 2004 and they did nothing, because GM estimated that it would be too costly to fix. This defective ignition switch in the Chevy Cobalt could cause the car to turn off the engine at high speeds, which will then deactivate safety systems like airbag, anti-lock brakes, leading to fatal accident. When they finally decided to fix the issue, they tried to sweep it under the rug by replacing the defective part with an updated one with the same serial number, effectively covering up the problem. But GM failed to understand the magnitude of the issue. Their dirty practices started to reveal itself as more and more cases started to pop up. It is estimated that about 90 people lost their lives and 163 people had to suffer fatal injuries due to this defective part. Following the huge public backlash, GM was forced to recall 2.6 million Cobalt and nearly identical Pontiac G5. GM agreed to pay $35 million in fine to the Department of Transport for delays in issuing a recall. Number 5. The Takara fiasco. Takara is not an automotive manufacturer. They make safety products like airbags, seatbelts for major auto brands. But this Japanese company is riddled with scandals. In fact, Takara's airbag scandal is by far the biggest scandal in the automotive history. The first one began in 1995, which involved the seat belts manufactured by Takara not latching properly or sometimes getting jammed in the event of a crash, leaving the occupant trapped in the seat. Initially, this issue was found on Honda cars, and as usual, they responded to it as a result of misuse by the user rather than the design fault. But in a later investigation, it was found that when exposed to sunlight over a long period of time, the plastic in the seatbelt buckle would go brittle, resulting the belt to break loose, or parts would break off and jam the belt in place. The most recent Takara airbag scandal, which involved 10 biggest car manufacturers, started in 2013. During the investigation, it was revealed that the moisture was making its way to the airbag, which is supposed to be fully sealed, and reacting with the explosive chemical. This caused the ammonium nitrate to react violently and explode with huge force that it ruptured the metal canister that holds it, sending shrapnels towards the passenger. Honda itself has discovered 8 deaths in its cars caused by the airbag shrapnels. This whole debacle resulted in the biggest automotive recall in the history. At present, it is estimated that as many as 34 million vehicles could have been affected by the defective airbags. So there you have it, guys. Which one do you think the most sinister one? The Ford Pinto scandal or the GM ignition switch scandal? Leave your thoughts in the comment section down below. And as always, if you liked the video, please give it a thumbs up. Or if you loved it, please consider subscribing to the channel. See you guys next time. Drive safe.